Wind River is a crime thriller. Apparently, it's based on a true story. I had no idea going into that, in which an FBI agent, played by Elizabeth Olsen, is called in to go to a small town to investigate a murder of a young girl that occurred on a Native American reservation. She teams up with a veteran hunter, played by Jeremy Renner, to help solve the case. Now, Wind River is written and directed by Taylor Sheridan. He wrote both Sicario and Hell or High Water. He actually didn't direct these movies. I really like these movies, as you can tell, because I own them. I prefer Hell or High Water out of the two. Sicario is a good movie. I do think it's a little slightly overrated. There's just something more about robbing banks for your family than trying to take down a drug cartel in Mexico that I like more. But I really do like both of those, and so I went into Wind River with high hopes, and I walked out really satisfied. I believe this is Taylor Sheridan's directorial debut as well. He directs the shit out of this movie. He gets everything he needs and wants in this movie. Everything from character expressions to capturing the setting of the film to just capturing the tension. He does a really, really great job behind the camera. And that snowy Wyoming landscape that was captured so well in The Hateful Eight is captured so magnificently and so beautifully in this movie. It was a real joy to look at. It just looked amazing. Even though I do not like the cold, I was just like, why can't snow just be like that? Looks so nice like that. In regards to the performances in this movie, I think Jeremy Renner is really going for an Oscar nomination for this movie. This is his best performance, I think, since The Town. I thought he kind of got robbed of an Oscar for The Town. I thought he did a really good job in that movie. He does a really good job in this movie as well. I could tell he was bringing it. He was going for it. He was at full speed ahead with his performance. Elizabeth Olsen is fine. She doesn't blow you out of the water. You know, she's that actress that is fine. She's serviceable. It could have been played by anybody, but she was fine. Serviceable. She did her job, so give her that. Taylor Sheridan does really well in his movies is that he puts the characters and the story before the violence and the action. He does that really well again in Wind River. You learn a lot about a lot of these characters, grow to care about a lot of these characters, and that's ultimately what this movie boils down to, because if they were doing this murder mystery and investigating, it's like, why should I care if I don't care about any of these characters? But luckily, there is a good amount of character development to actually care about why these characters are investigating a murder, and it really helps when everything unfolds, because you don't want to see people dying. That's why. It does a good job at building tension. When you think something's going to go down, it kind of cuts to something else, and then it will cut back to that, so you're still like, oh, come on, give me that, oh, come on, give me that, and then it just hits you all of a sudden. Everything that happens in the last, probably third act of this movie, the last half hour, is just bonkers. It's crazy. A lot of plot twists, a lot of tension building. The whole movie is really full of tension, and I really enjoyed that. It's got its cliches, but it does those cliches really well. Now, there were a couple instances in this movie where the dialogue was a bit boring. A couple characters were talking, and I was just like, what does this have to do with anything? And you find out it doesn't have to do with anything. I'm like, so why are we talking about this when there's a murder on this reservation? Why can't we talk about that? I know some of it was character building. When it's the character building stuff, I was fine. But when it's random stuff, I was just like, what is the point? And there were a couple of instances in this movie where I feel like Taylor Sheridan just watched the movie Prisoners one too many times and tried to recreate scenes from that. Like, for instance, there's that one scene in Prisoners where Jake Gyllenhaal goes up to the house, he knocks on the door, the character Bob Taylor answers the door, and Jake Gyllenhaal is like, oh, where'd you do with those girls? And then it goes into the house, they get into a little bit of a fight, he starts opening the trunks, and he sees all the clothes. There's kind of a scene similar to that in here, although it's more of a shootout, in which Elizabeth Olsen opens the door, she knocks on the door, the character opens the door, and she's like, show me your hands, and then a shootout ensues, and she goes through the house. I was like, that is totally inspired by Prisoners. At least I thought. People might not pick up on that parallel, but that's what I thought. River is one of those movies that is very atmospheric and tension-filled for the first two acts, and then is really action-packed for the third act. And it's kind of subtle in its first two-thirds, which is really a big compliment to the movie. It just added to the action-packed third act, the finale of the movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I think if I had to pick, probably go Hell or High Water, then Wind River, then Sicario. Yeah, Sicario's still at the bottom for Taylor Sheridan movies, but I really enjoyed Wind River. I think this movie is one of the best of the year, to be honest with you, and I'm gonna give Wind River a B+. This is an actual film, so when you're trying to decide between this or Hitman's Bodyguard, go see this, please. Support indie filmmaking. Speaking of, I will be having a video in which it's going to be kind of controversial, in which I discuss the decline of the United States box office, and worldwide box office for that matter, and whether or not people's tastes have shifted into a specific genre or not, or if people are just getting tired of tentpole movies. We'll see. I got to do some research on that. I do have a website coming. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, you're on YouTube, subscribe at the end of this video, and check out some past reviews I have done. I shall see you next time. Thank you so much for taking time out of your days to watch my videos. I love doing this, and it's something I'm really passionate about, so I thank you again.